Hi, I'm Todd Wente, and this is the Daily 180. 180 seconds of motivation and inspiration intended to help you take action and make progress in your life. This is episode 349 of the Daily 180. We're going to continue our series of K words by talking about the word knit and how that might apply to us as we're trying to make progress. Now, if you're like me, the word knit probably doesn't figure into your daily vocabulary. We don't talk about knitting very much in our current day. And if we do, sometimes it's a poking of fun at old ladies or grandmas or something like that. In fact, I remember a show where one of the characters was described as carrying knitting with her everywhere. And when she would get angry, the stage direction said, and so would knit furiously. And we talked about how silly that was, that might be something that was going on. But it was identifiable as something that was old, something that was more traditional for grandmothers or for stay-at-home moms who had nothing better to do but knit baby blankets. And that's where we often talk about it, with blankets or sweaters or scarves or something of that nature. But I want to talk about knitting as it applies in a different facet, and then see if we can figure out how they work together and help us understand maybe how that can help us be more successful in our lives. When I broke my bones, I broke several bones in my leg at one point in time, and I remember being told that the bones would need to knit back together, and that all of the work that they were doing with the surgeries that were done, and there were several of them, were to give my bones the chance to knit together successfully. I remember thinking to myself, well, knitting, what exactly do we talk about when we talk about knitting? When we talk about knitting, we talk about taking a strand of material, a strand of yarn, and tying it together, putting knots in it in such a way that changes its shape and that holds it together in a new form. In the same way, when bones knit together, calcium and other pieces of the other materials of the tissue are brought together and tied into knots, if you will, cellular structures, lattices, that allow the bones to then be strong enough to support weight, to support the energy of daily life. It's kind of the same idea. We take common materials, we combine them into a new form, and we use them to do something very specific. For babies, when we knit the blankets, we're intending to keep them warm, as we are when we're knitting a scarf or hat or gloves or any other number of clothing items. It's not about covering, it's about warmth, although sometimes covering is a pretty good thing too. When we do it with our bones, when we are encouraging our bones to knit or our skin to knit, we're about restoring some level of integrity, of functionality to someplace that's broken. In the same way, when we're looking at the things that we're doing in our lives, sometimes we're taking things from this facet, things from this facet, from our spiritual facet and our physical facet, from our mental emotional facet and our business facet, from different facets, putting them together so that they can support the rest of our lives. It's something to think about the interrelatedness of your facets. If it seems like you're not making very much progress in one facet, maybe it's time to switch your attention to a different one, to give yourself a chance to give some new material to knit in. I hope this has given you something to think about. It's a pretty serious one today. Make sure that you share this with anybody that you think can benefit from it, and take some time. Subscribe and hit the bell so that you can be notified of new installments in Daily 180 when they come out. In the meantime, my name is Todd Wente. This has been the Daily 180. Go forth and conquer. We'll see you next time.